The council chamber stretched wide like an enormous dome, filled with seats that rose in circles around the central platform. 47 different species sat in those seats, each representing worlds scattered across the galaxy. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few seemed to be made of light itself. They had ruled together for thousands of years, making decisions that shaped the lives of trillions. Hyun Woo sat in the human section, his hands folded calmly on the desk before him. Beside him, Ju-won reviewed documents on her tablet, her face showing nothing. Around them, 12 other human delegates waited in silence. They had learned long ago that speaking too much in these meetings brought nothing but dismissal. Chancellor Vextel clicked his mandibles as he addressed the chamber. His insect-like body reflected the soft lights, making his exoskeleton shine. "The next matter concerns Resolution 8847, he announced. "All human colony worlds will provide 40% of their resources to support expansion efforts across the galaxy. This is not a request. This is the will of the Council." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Some species nodded, others made sounds that passed for approval in their cultures. No one questioned it. No one ever questioned decisions about humans. Hyun Woo felt Ji-won tense beside him, but she said nothing. They had argued against this resolution for months. They had presented evidence showing how it would harm human colonies, how it would leave families without enough food, without proper medical supplies. The council had listened politely, then ignored every word. 300 years ago, humans had joined the Galactic Council with hope in their hearts. They had believed in unity, in cooperation between species. They had offered their skills freely. Human engineers fixed problems no one else could solve. Human doctors found cures for diseases that had plagued alien worlds for centuries. Human farmers taught others how to grow food in harsh environments. But somewhere along the way, gratitude had turned into expectation. Expectation had become demand. And demand had become exploitation. The council called humans junior members, a title that sounded respectful but meant powerless. Humans could attend meetings, but their votes counted for less. They could offer solutions, but others took credit. They could work until exhaustion, but they could not say no. Councillor Morathi, her blue skin glistening with moisture, spoke up. "Perhaps we should reconsider the percentage. 40% seems excessive." Her voice carried sympathy, but even she would not push too hard. She had her own people to protect. "The matter is settled," Vextel said, dismissing her concern with a wave of his foreleg. "Humans have always been resourceful. They will adapt. They always do." That phrase haunted Hyunwoo. They will adapt. It was what the council said every time they took more. Every time they demanded more labor, more resources, more sacrifice. Humans would adapt. Humans would manage. Humans would find a way, but no one ever asked what it cost. The meeting continued. Species argued about trade routes and mining rights. They discussed wars on distant planets and treaties that needed renewal. Through it all, the human delegates sat quietly. They had learned that speaking achieved nothing. Their words disappeared into the vast indifference of the council like stones dropped into an ocean. 2 hours passed. Then 3. Finally, Vextel began closing the session. "If there is no other business," Hyunwoo stood. The movement was simple, but something about it made the chamber fall silent. Perhaps it was the way he stood, perfectly straight with no hint of submission. Perhaps it was the calm on his face, the kind of calm that comes only from absolute certainty. "Ambassador Hyunwoo," Vextel said, irritation in his tone, "the session is concluding. If you have concerns about the resolution, you may file a formal humanity withdraws from the Galactic Council effective immediately," Hyunwoo said. His voice was not loud, but every being in the chamber heard it clearly. "We will have no further contact." For a moment, no one moved. The words seemed too simple, too direct. Surely there was more. Surely he would explain, would negotiate, would ask for something, but Hyunwoo simply turned and walked toward the exit. Ji-won stood and followed. One by one, every human delegate rose from their seats and walked out. They did not hurry. They did not look back. They simply left, Wait. Vextel's voice echoed through the chamber. You cannot simply leave. There are procedures. Protocols. The doors closed behind the last human delegate. The sound was soft, almost gentle. But in the silence of the shocked council, it was as final as a coffin lid. Within the hour, reports began flooding in. Human engineers were leaving their posts on Station Apex Prime. They finished their current tasks, organized their tools, and departed on the next transport. Human doctors transferred patient files to alien colleagues and walked away from hospitals they had built. Human merchants closed their shops, loaded their goods, and flew toward human space. By evening, every human in Council territory was gone. Not a single one remained. They had not stolen anything. They had not sabotaged anything. They had simply stopped working and gone home. The Council sent messages to human colonies. Every message received the same automated response. No diplomatic channels available. No threats, no anger, just a simple statement of fact. The door had closed. In her quarters, G1 packed the last of her belongings. A small photo sat on her desk, showing her daughter playing on Earth. She had not seen that daughter in 2 years, sacrificing time with family to serve on the Council. For what? For votes that did not count? For respect that never came? She picked up the photo and placed it carefully in her bag. No more sacrifices. No more giving everything while receiving nothing. Haiyan Wu stood at the window of the transport ship, watching Apex Prime shrink into the distance. Beside him, a younger diplomat named Minho spoke quietly. Do you think they understand? Not yet, Haiyan Wu replied. But they will. What if they try to force us back? Let them try. Haiyan Wu's reflection in the window showed a small smile. For 300 years, we fixed their problems. We built their stations. We healed their sick. They thought we did it because we were weak, because we needed them. They never realized we did it because we chose to. Now we choose differently. The transport jumped to faster than light speed, carrying its passengers toward Earth. Behind them, in the Council chamber, 46 species began to realize that the quiet ones in the back, the ones they had taken for granted, had just walked away and nothing they said or did would bring them back. 2 weeks had passed since the humans left, and Chancellor Vextel was certain they would return any day now. Species did not simply leave the Galactic Council. Where would they go? What would they do? The galaxy was too large, too complex for any single species to manage alone. The humans would realize their mistake and come back, probably apologizing for their dramatic exit. He was reviewing reports in his office when the first alarm sounded. The environmental system on Apex Prime's eastern wing had failed. Temperature controls stopped working, leaving hundreds of aliens shivering in rooms that grew colder by the minute. Vextel contacted the engineering department, expecting a quick fix. We are trying, Chancellor, the reptilian engineer said, his scales showing signs of stress. But the human engineers always handled these systems. We do not understand how they work. The manuals are written in technical language we cannot fully translate. Then figure it out, Vextel snapped. How difficult can it be? 8 hours later, they managed to restore basic heating, but the system ran at only 60% efficiency. The engineer explained that the humans had designed something far more complex than it appeared, with dozens of interconnected subsystems. Without proper knowledge, they could only make it work partially. The next day, the water recycling system failed on 3 different levels. The day after that, the waste management system backed up, creating a smell so terrible that entire sections had to be evacuated. Each time, the engineers struggled to fix problems that humans had solved in minutes. Counselor Terran paced in the emergency meeting, his reptilian tail swishing with agitation. This is unacceptable. We need the humans back immediately. Send them an offer? Any offer? They are not responding to our messages, Morathi said quietly. Her tank of water bubbled softly as she spoke. I warned you all. I said we were taking them for granted. They provided services, Terran hissed. Services we paid for with council membership. Did we? Morathi's eyes, large and dark, fixed on him. Or did we give them a title while treating them like servants? Before Taran could respond, another alarm interrupted them. The navigation computer for the entire station had gone offline. Ships could not safely dock or depart. Apex Prime was effectively trapped in place. An investigation team discovered something disturbing. Humans had maintained 73% of all critical systems across Council space. Not just on Apex Prime, but on every major station, every important facility. They had done it so quietly, so efficiently, that no one had noticed how dependent the Council had become. Trade routes began collapsing. Human merchant ships did not arrive with their usual deliveries. Species that had relied on human-grown food faced shortages. Medical supplies dwindled. Technology that required human-made components sat broken and useless. A junior technician named Ilmara was searching through abandoned human quarters when she found something interesting. A data storage device sat on a desk in what had been the chief engineer's room. The engineer's name had been Daehyun, and he had managed maintenance for the entire station. Ilmara brought the device to the Council. When they activated it, a recorded message played. Daehyun's face appeared, calm and professional as always. He looked exactly as he had every day at work, no anger in his expression, no bitterness. Just tired. "This device contains basic maintenance protocols," he said in the recording. "Enough to keep essential systems running for approximately 6 months if you are careful. The files are time-locked and will open gradually. You never asked how these systems worked. You just demanded they work. Now you will learn. Good luck," the recording ended. When they examined the files, they found detailed instructions, but only for the most basic repairs. The complex systems, the elegant solutions that had kept everything running smoothly, remained locked. A timer showed when each file would open. Some would not be available for months. Others for years. Vextel felt something he had not experienced in decades, genuine fear. "Can we break the encryption?" The best technology experts examined the device. "Theoretically, yes," one said. "But it would take years and might corrupt the data. The humans were always better at programming than us. We relied on them for that too." Reports kept coming in from across Council space. A space station near the Outer Rim had to be evacuated because its air filtration system failed. A hospital on Terran's homeworld ran out of a critical medicine that only human chemists knew how to produce. A fleet of ships sat grounded. Because their repair facilities had been run by human technicians, each species began pointing fingers at the others. The reptilians blamed the insectoids for being too harsh. The insectoids blamed the aquatics for being too soft. Everyone had an explanation for why the humans left. And in every explanation, they were the victims of human unreasonableness. Only Morathi spoke the truth that no one wanted to hear. "We did this to ourselves. We treated them as tools, not as partners. We took their work and gave nothing back but demands for more. They were paid," another counselor shouted. "They received benefits." "They received the smallest benefits of any species," Morathi replied. "They received the least respect. They received no real voice in decisions. And when they finally asked for fairness, we gave them more obligations. Tell me, what would you have done?" No one answered. The Council voted to send a fleet to human space. Not to negotiate, Vextel insisted, but to demonstrate Council authority. If the humans saw a proper show of force, surely they would understand their position and return to their responsibilities. Morathi voted against it. "This is a mistake. You do not understand what you are dealing with. Humans are patient, but that patience comes from strength, not weakness. If you push them, you will discover what they have been holding back." "They are one species," Vextel said dismissively. "We are 46. The mathematics alone should frighten them?" But Morathi had spent time actually talking to humans over the years, not just giving them orders. She had learned about their history, their wars, their survival. She knew something the others had not bothered to discover. Humans were very good at preparing for the worst. As the Council prepared their fleet. Another system failed on Apex Prime. The lights flickered throughout the station, dimming to emergency levels. In the darkness, aliens fumbled with equipment they did not understand, trying to fix problems they could not comprehend. In the council chamber, Vextel sat alone, mandibles clicking with anxiety. He pulled up old records, searching for something. He found it in the archives. Testimony from a human scientist named Ji-hoon from 10 years ago. In the recording, Ji-hoon stood before the council. "We are happy to help, but we must warn you. You are building systems that only we understand. If you continue to rely on us for everything while giving us nothing, you create a dangerous dependency. We should be training other species, sharing knowledge, building together. Please let us teach you." The council had thanked him politely and then ignored every recommendation. Vexto closed the file and sat in the darkness, beginning to understand what Morathi had been trying to tell them. The humans had not left out of spite. They had left because they had no other choice. And they had been preparing for this moment for a very long time. Fleet Commander Zorvath felt confident as he led 200 council ships toward human space. His species, the Vren, had conquered 12 star systems through military might. Humans were engineers and doctors, not warriors. They would see this fleet and understand that leaving the council was not an option. The fleet moved through space in perfect formation, weapons armed, shields at full power. Behind Zorvath, captains of various species waited for orders. They had been briefed that this was merely a show of force, that no actual combat would occur. The humans would back down. They always had. "Sir, we are approaching the boundary of human territory," his navigator reported. "They call it the threshold." "A dramatic name," Zorvath said with amusement. "Continue forward." Space ahead looked empty, peaceful. Stars dotted the darkness like they did everywhere else. There was no visible border, no markers, no warning signs. Just empty space. Then a single ship appeared. It was not large or impressive. A simple human cruiser, alone against 200 council vessels. On its side, painted in clear letters, was its name, Silent Resolve, the communication channel activated. A human woman's face appeared on the screen. She wore a captain's uniform, her expression neutral. "This is Captain Biora of the Silent Resolve. You have reached the boundary of human space. Turn back. This is your final warning." Zorvath laughed. He could not help it. One ship against 200, and they issued warnings? "Captain, we are here by authority of the Galactic Council. Stand aside." "Turn back," Biora repeated. Nothing in her voice changed. No anger, no fear, just a simple statement. "We will not harm you if you move," Zorvath said, trying to sound reasonable. "But we will proceed. We have business in human space." "You were warned," Biora said, and closed the channel. Zorvath gave the order. The fleet moved forward, crossing the invisible line that humans called the threshold. For a moment, nothing happened. Then everything stopped. 200 ships went dark simultaneously. Not destroyed, not damaged, just completely powerless. Engines died mid-thrust. Weapon systems went offline. Shields vanished. Even the lights inside the ships flickered and died. Leaving only emergency lighting on Zorvath's bridge, officers shouted in confusion. "What happened?" "Sir, all power is gone." "Everything is dead? How?" Zorvath demanded, but no one had answers. Every system, every backup, every redundancy had failed at exactly the same moment. The ships drifted forward slowly on momentum alone. Helpless in space, the Silent Resolve moved among them like a shark among fish. It glided to the nearest council ship, attached a towing cable, and began pulling it backward. The council ship could not resist. It had no power to fight with. No engines to escape with. Ba'ara's voice came through on the emergency channel, the only thing still working. "You crossed our border uninvited. We are returning you to council space. Your ships will have power restored once you are safely back on your side." One by one, the Silent Resolve towed each ship back across the threshold. It took hours, patient and methodical. Not a single shot had been fired. Not a single life had been lost. But the message could not have been clearer. When Zorvath's ship crossed back over the boundary, power returned instantly. Engines roared to life, systems came online, lights brightened. His crew looked at their instruments in disbelief. Everything worked perfectly again, as if nothing had happened. Then a new face appeared on all council channels simultaneously. Admiral Kyung-mi, commander of Human Border Defense, sat in a chair that looked comfortable rather than intimidating. Behind her, the bridge of her ship hummed with quiet activity. "I am Admiral Kyung-mi," she said calmly. "What you experienced is the threshold defense system. It is not a weapon. It simply stops all unauthorized ships from entering our space. No harm will come to you unless you attack us directly, in which case we will defend ourselves." She paused, looking directly into the camera as if she could see every species watching. "You took our help, our innovation, our patience. For 300 years, we gave everything you asked for. We built your stations, fixed your problems, healed your people. You never valued any of it. You treated us like servants who should be grateful for the opportunity to serve." Her voice never rose, never showed anger. That made her words hit harder. "We are done being used. We are done explaining ourselves. We are done asking for respect we will never receive. This border will not fall. We will not return. We will not negotiate. We will simply live our lives away from you. But you need us." Zorvath transmitted back. "You need trade. You need resources from other systems." "No," Kyung-mi said simply. "We do not. We were careful. We prepared. We have everything we need in our own space. It was you who needed us. You are discovering that now. We can break through your barrier," Zorvath said, though he did not believe it himself. "You can try," Kyung-mi replied. "We spent 50 years developing this technology while you ignored our suggestions about defense planning. We showed you research papers. We offered to help you build similar systems. You said it was unnecessary because the Council was strong enough without it. You were wrong about that. You were wrong about many things." The transmission shifted to show a data file. "This contains testimony from human scientists and engineers over the past 50 years. Every time we warned you about problems. Every time we suggested improvements. Every time you dismissed us. It is all documented. We kept records of everything." Zorvath opened the file and saw hundreds of entries. Report after report, suggestion after suggestion, all ignored. There was Ji-hoon warning about system dependencies 10 years ago. There was engineer Dae-hyun explaining the need for proper maintenance training. There was a doctor named Jae-won cautioning that medical knowledge should be shared, not hoarded by one species. The Council had brushed aside every warning. They had treated each suggestion as unnecessary concern from overly cautious humans. Now those warnings had become reality. "You could have learned from us," Kyung-mi said. "We offered to teach. You preferred to take. There is a difference between cooperation and exploitation. You never learned it. What do you want?" Zorvath asked. "What will it take for you to return?" "I do not think you understand yet," Kyung-mi said, and something like pity crossed her face. "We do not want anything from you. That is the point. We are not bargaining. We are not negotiating. We simply do not wish to associate with you anymore. You can offer us nothing because we want nothing." The transmission ended. The Council fleet floated in space, fully functional but completely defeated. They had come to demonstrate power and discovered they had none. Zorvath ordered the retreat. As his fleet turned away, he looked back at the threshold. One small human ship, the Silent Resolve, remained on guard. Captain Bo-ra had not moved, had not celebrated, had not gloated. She simply watched them leave, doing her job with quiet professionalism. For the first time in his military career, Zorvath understood what it meant to be completely outmatched. Not by superior weapons or larger numbers, but by better planning and deeper patience. The humans had been ready for this day for decades. The Council had been ready for nothing. As the fleet limped back toward Apex Prime, Zorvath knew his report would change nothing. The Council would not accept what had happened. They would look for ways to break through, ways to force humans back, ways to maintain their illusion of control, but Zorvath had seen Biora's face. He had heard Kangmi's voice. He knew the truth. The humans were not coming back, and nothing the Council did would change that. 3 months after the humans left, the Galactic Council was falling apart from the inside. On the agricultural world of Terran 4, families went hungry. The crops that had fed billions grew in patches now, thin and weak. Human farmers had taught them advanced growing techniques, but the knowledge had never been properly recorded. The reptilians tried to remember, tried to recreate the methods, but something was always wrong. The soil balance, the water timing, the temperature control. Without humans to fix each problem as it appeared. The harvest failed. "We need food shipments from other worlds," the governor reported to Councillor Taryn. "Our people are suffering." "There are no shipments," Taryn replied bitterly. "Every world is struggling. The humans connected all our food systems. They balanced production across dozens of planets. Now that balance is gone. On the medical station orbiting Vex Prime, doctors watched patients die from diseases they could have cured months ago. The medicines existed, locked in databases that human doctors had maintained. The passwords were gone. The encryption was too complex to break quickly. Dr. Ilmara stared at her screen, tears running down her face. A child lay dying in the next room, and the cure sat in these files, just out of reach. She had tried everything. Every expert in Council space had tried. The encryption was not impossible, but it would take months to break, maybe years. The child had days. A recorded message played when she attempted to access the files for the 100th time. Dr. J1 appeared, his face showing exhaustion that came from years of overwork. "I left medical knowledge here because I am a doctor first, even when I am angry. But I will not make it easy for you. The cures are here. The treatments are documented. Everything you need to save lives is in these files. But you must work for it. You must learn. You must understand what we did, not just use what we made. Maybe that will teach you to value the people who heal, not just the healing." The message had been recorded before he left, Ilmara realized. He knew exactly what would happen. He knew people would die. He left the cures anyway, locked away, forcing the Council to struggle. Was that cruelty or teaching? She did not know anymore. Civil conflicts erupted across Council space. The reptilians blamed the insectoids for being too harsh with humans. The insectoids blamed the aquatics for not supporting strict measures. The aquatics blamed everyone for ignoring warnings. Old tensions, held together by the smooth functioning of the Council, burst into open hostility. 3 minor wars started within a month. Species fought over resources that had always been abundant when humans managed distribution. They fought over territory that had been peacefully shared when humans mediated disputes. They fought because the careful balance was gone, and no one knew how to rebuild it. 12 species withdrew from the Council entirely. They formed their own small coalitions, trying to survive separately. The grand unity that had lasted thousands of years cracked like glass. Morathi found herself leading a desperate faction that wanted reconciliation with humans. She stood before the remaining Council members, her voice pleading. "We must apologize. We must admit what we did wrong. We must beg them to at least talk with us." "We will not beg," Vextel shouted, though he looked much smaller now, his exoskeleton dull with stress. "We are the Galactic Council. We do not apologize to subordinate species." "They were never subordinate," Morathi said quietly. "That was our first mistake. That was the lie we told ourselves to feel better about exploiting them." Vextel wanted to argue, but he could not. The evidence surrounded them. Half the lights in the Council chamber did not work. The temperature control fluctuated randomly. The air smelled stale because the filtration system ran at minimal capacity. They sat in the ruins of their own arrogance. Morathi led a delegation to the threshold. She broadcast a message, hoping humans would hear. "We were wrong. We took you for granted. We treated you badly. We asked for nothing but a chance to speak, to understand, to maybe someday repair what we broke. For days, there was no response. Then a recorded message played. A civilian named Young Soo appeared, sitting in what looked like a comfortable home. He held a cup of tea and spoke as if talking to old friends who had hurt him deeply. For 300 years, we fixed your problems. We built your stations so they would last centuries. We healed your sick and asked only that you see us as equals. We did not want special treatment. We wanted respect. We wanted our voices to matter. We wanted to be partners, not tools. He sipped his tea and continued. You gave us obligations? More work, more demands, more expectations. Every time we asked for fairness, you made new rules that took more from us. You could not see us as people, only as useful servants who should be grateful for the chance to serve. Young Soo looked directly at the camera. We are not your enemies. We do not hate you. We are simply done. We are tired of explaining this. We are tired of being patient while you learn nothing. We left because staying was destroying us. We chose ourselves. That is not cruelty. That is survival. The message ended with coordinates. Not for human space, but for a memorial database. When Morathi accessed it, she found 300 years of records. Every insult, every dismissal, every exploitative action the Council had taken against humanity. Perfectly documented, time-stamped, verified, meeting minutes where human proposals were rejected without discussion. Votes where human input was ignored. Resolutions that took more from humans while giving nothing back. It was all there, a testament to institutional cruelty that had seemed normal at the time. Morathi read through months of records and felt sick. How had they justified this? How had it become acceptable to treat an entire species this way? Each individual action had seemed small, reasonable. Together, they painted a picture of systematic abuse. She tried to share the database with the full council, but many refused to look at it. The past is past, they said. We must focus on fixing our current problems. But the current problems were the past, Morathi understood. Everything falling apart now was the direct result of decisions made years ago, decades ago. They had built their civilization on the unpaid labor of humans who asked only for respect. Now the foundation was gone, and everything built on it was collapsing. Apex Prime Station began catastrophic failure. The damage from months of poor maintenance accumulated into critical system breakdowns. The evacuation order came suddenly, urgently. Thousands of aliens scrambled to ships, fleeing the station that had been the heart of galactic government for centuries. In desperation, Vexto authorized using ancient code-breaking technology, something usually forbidden because of its power. They aimed it at one of Daehyun's locked files, hoping to find critical information about saving the station. The file opened. Inside was a single document titled "Why We Left." It contained no technical information, no maintenance protocols. Just a letter from Daehyun himself. You will find no easy answers here, it read. You want the solution to your immediate crisis. But the solution is the same as it has always been. Learn to do the work yourselves. Learn to value those who serve. Learn that taking without giving always leads to collapse. We could save you now, as we always have. But if we do, you will learn nothing. You will wait until we leave again, and the cycle will repeat. So we let you struggle. Not from hate, but from hope that struggle will teach what words never could. The file closed and encrypted itself again, unbreakable now. The code-breaking technology had been used. There would be no second chance. Vexto sat in an escape pod as Apex Prime died behind him, lights flickering out section by section. He had been Chancellor of the Galactic Council, one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Now he was a refugee fleeing a disaster of his own making. Around him, in thousands of ships, aliens who had ruled the galaxy watched their civilization crumble. And somewhere beyond the threshold, humanity watched in silence, neither helping nor gloating. Just living their lives, finally free. 1 year had passed since humanity left the Galactic Council, and the galaxy looked very different now. The Council still existed, but only 22 species remained. The grand chamber that once held 47 different people sat mostly empty. The seats that remained were worn and damaged, never properly repaired. The lights flickered occasionally, a reminder that they still did not fully understand the systems humans had built. Morathi had become the new council leader. Not because she wanted the position, but because no one else was willing to take responsibility for the mess they had created. She sat in the leader's chair, which had once belonged to Vextel, and looked at the beings before her. They had learned to maintain their own systems now, though barely. Food production had stabilized at about 60% of what it had been during the human era. Medical care functioned, but not as well. Technology advanced slowly without human innovation pushing it forward. They survived, but they no longer thrived. We call it the human era now, Morathi said to a historian recording events for future generations. That golden age when everything worked, when problems got solved, when the galaxy felt united. We squandered it. We treated our greatest gift with contempt, and we lost it. Vextel lived in disgrace now, removed from all positions of authority. He spent his days on a small colony world, farming his own food. The hard work had changed him. His exoskeleton bore scars from labor he had never imagined doing himself. He understood now, too late, what humans had given so freely for so long. Morathi had sent formal apologies to the threshold. Not requests for help, not attempts at negotiation. Just acknowledgement of wrongdoing. We were unjust, the message said. We exploited your kindness. We treated you as less than equals. We were wrong. We do not ask forgiveness. We simply want you to know that we understand now what we lost. For 6 months there was silence. Then one day a ship appeared at the threshold. A human ship, but small and unarmed. It carried a message. 3 humans wished to enter council space as observers, not members. The council chamber filled quickly when the 3 humans arrived. Every species wanted to see them, these beings who had once been everywhere and were now so rare. Ambassador Sujin entered first, older now, her hair showing gray. Behind her came Engineer Taeyang, carrying a simple bag. Last was Teacher Hannah, who looked around the damaged chamber with sad eyes. Sujin stood where Hyun Woo had stood a year ago, but this time she spoke at length. We did not leave out of hatred. We left because we were tired. Tired of being useful but not valued. Tired of building bridges that only went one way. Tired of giving everything and receiving only more demands. She paused, letting the words settle. We needed you to understand what we gave and what you took. Words never worked. Explanations never worked. So we showed you. We stepped back and let you experience life without us. Counselor Terran, diminished by the famine that had struck his worlds, spoke up. We have suffered greatly. Our people have died. Children have starved. Was that justice? No, Hannah said quietly. It was consequence. We did not cause your suffering. We simply stopped preventing it. You built a civilization on our backs and called it your achievement. When we could no longer carry you, everything fell. But the children, Terran said, his voice breaking. They were innocent. So were ours, Hannah replied. Our children who went without because we gave you everything. Our families who suffered because we worked ourselves to exhaustion serving you. Your children's pain is visible to you now? Ours was always invisible to you, so it did not matter. The chamber fell silent. Morathi stood slowly. You are right. In all things you are right. We have no defense. We can only ask what happens now. Taeyang opened his bag and pulled out data storage devices. We will not rejoin the council. But we will establish observer status. We will share some technology through fair trade. We will teach, but only those who genuinely wish to learn. We will help, but only as equals, never as servants. He placed the devices on the table. These contain agricultural techniques to help with your food crisis. Medical databases for the most critical conditions. Basic maintenance protocols for the systems we built. It is not everything, but it is enough to help you stabilize. Why? Vextel's voice came from the back of the chamber. He had come to witness this moment, though he had no right to speak. After everything we did, why help us at all? Sujin looked at him, and her expression held no anger, only weariness. Because we are human. Because helping is what we do. But we will do it our way now, on our terms. You will thank us, not demand from us. You will trade fairly, not take freely. You will respect our boundaries, or we will disappear again. The choice is yours. Over the following months, small groups of humans returned to council space. Not as council members, but as independent traders, teachers, and advisors. They worked set hours and went home. They charged fair prices and refused exploitation. They said no when they needed to, and the council learned to accept it. The council built a memorial on the rebuilt Apex Prime Station. A simple wall with words carved in every language. To the species who departed in silence and taught us the value of what we lost. May we never forget. Young people of various species came to read those words and learn about the human era. Teachers, like Hannah, held classes about that time. Not to shame current generations, but to ensure the mistakes were never repeated. Trade between humans and council species grew slowly, carefully. Cultural exchanges began. Human music played in alien homes. Alien art hung in human galleries. It was not the deep integration of before, but it was honest. It was based on mutual respect rather than one-sided exploitation. On Earth, old Hyan-Woo sat in a garden watching the sunset. He was quite old now, his hair completely white, but his eyes remained sharp. A young human woman sat beside him, recording his memories for the archives. "Do you think we did the right thing?" she asked. "Leaving them to struggle?" Hyan-Woo thought for a long moment. "We gave them 300 years of our best efforts. We explained, we suggested, we pleaded. Nothing changed. Sometimes the only way to teach is to step back and let people face the consequences of their choices." "But people died," the young woman said. "On both sides. Our people suffered in the council. Their people suffered after we left." "Yes," Hyan-Woo said sadly. "That is the cost of change. It is never clean, never easy. But staying would have killed us slowly, year by year, generation by generation. We would have lost ourselves trying to save people who did not want to be saved, only served." He stood slowly, looking at the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky. "We freed ourselves. That was the lesson. Not revenge, not punishment, but freedom. We showed them and ourselves that we have value beyond our usefulness. That is what they remember now. That is what will last." The young woman looked at her notes. "Some humans want to fully rejoin the council. They say we are being too harsh." "Perhaps we are," Hyan-Woo admitted. "But harsh is not the same as wrong. They must learn to value us before we give them everything again. They must prove they have changed. Not with words, but with actions. Time will tell." Across the galaxy in the rebuilt council chamber, Morathi addressed the assembly. "We lost much in the year of human absence. We lost comfort, stability, and many lives. But we gained something too. We gained understanding. We learned what we had taken for granted. We learned that every person, every species has worth beyond what they provide for us." She looked at the empty seats that would never be filled. "The humans are not coming back to those chairs. They have moved forward, and we must do the same. We must build a council that respects all members equally. A council that gives as much as it takes. A council that remembers the price of arrogance." In a small cafe on a space station near the threshold, Captain Viora of the Silent Resolve sat with Admiral Kyungmi. They drank tea and watched ships pass by, both human and alien. Some were trading vessels, some were passenger ships. All moved peacefully. "Do you think they have learned?" Viora asked. "Some have," Kyungmi replied. "Some never will. But enough have learned that we can work with them again, carefully. The old council is dead. What grows from its ruins might be better. Or it might fail again. Either way, we will be fine. That is what we proved." Viora smiled. "We proved we do not need them." "More than that," Kyungmi said. "We proved we need ourselves. We matter, not because we are useful to others, but because we are us. That knowledge is worth everything we lost." They finished their tea in comfortable silence, two humans who had stood at the border and said no when no one expected it. Around them, the galaxy continued turning, different now, hopefully wiser. And if not, humanity would survive anyway. They had proven that beyond all doubt.